Well, welcome to the first of what is planned to be many webinars hosted by oaSES. I can't thank you enough for the overwhelming response and support for our first webinar, and I'm honored to report that almost 500 people signed up and registered for the webinar to hear Steve speak to us on the challenges we face with the SES program. We'd also like to not lose this energy, this communion of like-minded individuals. We'd like to continue the conversation, and after the webinar ends, we'd like to try something new. We'd like to create a buzz on the web. We built an SES community forum at oaSESonline.com. Pay a visit, put in comments, ask questions, pose ideas, voice complaints, express your opinions. Send the community's link to everybody you know that has an interest in the SES program. Get them to visit, comment, participate. Get them to forward the link to everybody they know. Who else might help? Get creative. Maybe send out to all your parents. What about the schools? Maybe your other vendors, your staff. Let's see what buzz we can create and who we can get to listen to that buzz. The more buzz we create, maybe the press takes notice. If the press takes notice, others take notice. Maybe a congressman, maybe a senator, maybe a bunch of senators. oaSES will help. We're happy to be your technology platform, and we'll host your community. But the success of a grassroots effort to effect change is up to all of us. We'll use our technical skills to link your conversations anywhere and everywhere we can, making it easier for others looking for this type of forum to find us and join in. But the key here is to join in to spread the word. Now, the inspiration for all of this started when I read the book by David Merman Scott called New Rules of Marketing and PR. I was so excited about what I read, we bought copies for everybody in oaSES so we could relate to a new way of thinking. And it really prompted the second in our series of webinars planned for early next month, because the Internet isn't so much about technology as it is about people. And this book explains how to look at things differently. It explores and explains the web as it pertains to people. And he does it with real-life case histories in an entertaining style. If you're looking for fresh new ideas for website content or a new approach to your marketing plan, this is a must-read and a must-attend for the webinar. And also in July, we'll be hosting a webinar specifically for new SES providers, hosted by a friend and oaSES customer who successfully runs her own SES operation for 5 years, currently serving thousands of students. If you're new to SES and want some free informative tips, join us in July. That being said, I am so pleased to introduce Mr. Steve Pines, the speaker for the topic at hand, the SES program. What are the latest SES legislative updates, and what do they mean to us, and what can we still do about it? Steve Pines is the Executive Director of the Education Industry Association. EIA is an association with over 400 members, representing organizations serving the pre-K through 12 education market. The association promotes public policies that are consistent with the mission of every person on this call. I'm thrilled to introduce Steve Pines. Steve?
Thank you, Eileen and George. I really appreciate you inviting us to present today, and good afternoon to everybody on the call. Let me cue up the presentation. And is it up yet?
Nope, we see your Outlook.
Okay.
You need to click on your PowerPoint.
Can you see it now?
It's coming.
Can you see the presentation now?
No.
Okay. It says screen sharing is now paused. Another window is on top of your application. Show my screen to attendees. How about now?
There we are. Perfect.
Great. Well, few buttons later, here we are. Well, thanks again to oaSESonline. Again, Steve Pines from the Education Industry Association, and I know there's several EIA members on the call, and good afternoon to all of those who are our members and future members as well. As Eileen mentioned, EIA is the National Association of a membership organization of organizations both for-profit and not-for-profit who provide a range of solutions to schools and families, including SES, but also including special ed, dropout prevention, tutoring services to private pay customers, charter school management companies, and so on. We assist our members. One second. We assist our members in a variety of ways, including advocacy and public relations. Many people join for business-to-business networking and business development ventures, also for professional development to increase their skills in the practice of education services. And we form special interest groups around SES, innovations in education, online learning, and special and alternative education. What we're going to do the next 45 minutes or so is really take a look at what are the current threats to SES in the legislative environment, and why do I characterize them as threats. What are some actions to date by the U.S. Department of Education? What are some likely actions by Congress, and when would those actions occur? And of course, I have to give some kind of forecast about what will happen to SES and when, and try to educate everybody on what are the various powers of action here in Washington that give rise to that kind of forecast. And then finally, this is all about engagement and what each of you who are on the call today can do to help improve as well as preserve SES. That's really the goal here. Let me take a step back first and say that No Child Left Behind, maybe 8 or 9 years ago, really created many new markets for the private sector in public education. Of course, we all know about SES, but besides that, there's a growing market in professional development, which means teacher training, professional development for school leaders, of course, assessment and curricular development, comprehensive school reform and restructuring. I think the new name for that will be school turnaround. Of course, lots of services in contracting for special ed and alternative ed and dropout prevention, technology, and of course, student and data information services. The question at the bottom, though, is will ESEA, or the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, be as open to partnerships with the private sector as No Child Left Behind has been? I think that's the question that remains to be proven. I want to describe why I think there are some cautionary flags for the role of the private sector in a new ESEA. And I want to take you back just really 3 years ago to Chairman George Miller. George Miller is who was then and continues to be chair of the House Education and Labor Committee, Democrat from California. In 2007 was the last time there was a serious attempt to reauthorize No Child Left Behind. And there was a public document sort of known as the discussion draft. It never passed, it never got actually introduced in a formal way, but it was a complete bill that was circulated for comment. And it's important that we all look at that, because that's a fairly there's a well-developed bill across all the titles of No Child Left Behind that could very well be a template for where the current staff might start from. So back in 2007, there were specific restrictions on the role of the for-profit community throughout the various titles of No Child